Podcast, powered by and made possible by Transform You Media Network. I'm Kurt Roskopf, a host here at the World of Ability Podcast, and we are here with Emily Gollmer, co-producer, co-host, and podcast engineer for all of what we do here at the World of Ability Podcast, and for sure this your World of Ability Podcast. And we have co-hosts, co-moderator Denise Vargas, bringing in all of the creativity and redesigning our lives and redesigning the experience we get here in this podcast. So Denise, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to see what we're going to be discussing today. Looking forward to it.
All right. So Emily, come on in here, give a little bit more of the warm welcome and the color commentary and what you have set up as our podcast engineer. What do you have in store for the World of Ability today, January 15th? We're producing this on a Saturday. We know you get this restreamed on different days, but Emily, what do you have for us today?
Hi everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the World of Ability. Where we're here every Saturday. And thank you to Marcus for allowing us to be on his platform. I guess for at least to the start, I don't know about talking about Ed.
What about Ed? I'm not following. Can you help us out here? Ed? What's going on?
He's doing the Cruising for Inclusion event. He was just certified for that.
What does that mean to be certified? What's going on with that, Emily?
I'm not sure if really know for sure. But he said that he became certified with the special needs group, which Ed is in the travel business, like travel cruises. And so the Cruising for Inclusion is about people with disabilities, like taking a cruise. Right, Kurt?
Wait a minute. People with disabilities even want to cruise? That's even a thing?
Kurt.
You are correct. It is all about cruising for inclusion, because we want inclusion with cruising. And he does do landside travel services as well, hotel bookings and all of your travel to get cruising, get to getaway locations, vacations, and to go and explore the world. This is the World of Ability and the ability of the world all wrapped up into one here. And so Denise, you've never taken a trip in your life, have you?
Well, I've never taken a cruise. I've traveled, but I've been wanting to take a cruise for the longest. And it's interesting because I think that cruising, for someone who is a wheelchair user, I think it's one of the easiest vacations to take. Like, you don't have to get out of your chair and have your wheelchair go into, luggage compartments and, the luggage part of the planes. And a story that I'd like to share is many, many years ago, we went to Puerto Rico. And what was it? Puerto Rico? Was it California? Anyway, we traveled on a plane and they completely destroyed my wheelchair. My
Uh-oh.
joystick was like it was bent, it was like disconnected. I was so upset because as you
What were
know,
they doing destroying your wheelchair?
yeah, wish I can tell you. But um, as you know, well, for those of you who are wheelchair users, know that when your repairs doesn't happen overnight, it's a process. And when you're out of your home state, it takes even longer. You have to deal with insurances. Yeah, it was just such a mess. And you're going on vacation. You want to be able to enjoy your trip. And it was just so upsetting. Now, the interesting thing about this is that while it sounds, I mean, it wasn't any better, but it was when I was coming home. So the whole thing happened when I was coming home. So it wasn't as bad. And they say that really with, tongue in cheek. But can you imagine if it was when I was going on my vacation, when I'm supposed to be enjoying it? And this happens to so many people, so many people. So I guess, yeah, the good side was that it was fortunate that it happened to me when I was coming home or when I returned home. But cruising, I think, is phenomenal. I think it's when I finally get there, it's going to be so much easier. I don't have to worry about anything getting damaged or lost, or it's like I'm sitting in my. Here's the thing about people who use wheelchairs. There are legs, right? So, I mean, Kurt, Emily, can you imagine if you're going somewhere and you have to put your legs with the luggage and the rest of your body in a seat? Like, can you just imagine that?
It'd have to be an amputee or something and talk about prosthetics, because that'd be pretty horrifying. Or we're talking Friday the 13th films or something. That's what you're talking about.
Exactly. So yeah, I am definitely looking forward to cruising for inclusion. And funny thing, I didn't know either that you needed to get certified. So looking forward to hearing from Ed. What exactly does that mean to be certified?
Well, I think it's like anything. Any travel agent in the world can offer their services without being certified to people with disabilities. I think the point of being certified is to go through that industry standard to say that, if you're trying to show yourself as a specialist for people with disabilities, you better understand neurodiversity, sensory zones, adaptation, accommodation. Like you're talking about all the nuances with how airlines and the travel industry, accommodate for wheelchair users. And, then you got the community of people with deafness. You got the patrons with blindness, and so instead of being a professional that's kind of like at a loss for if they're doing everything right, the certification gives people like Ed some sort of a basis that I would say you're still halfway there, because what the world has taught me and what people with disabilities have taught me is that as much as you think you know a lot about the community, there's nothing like letting a person with a disability speak for themselves and prescribe the plan themselves rather than being told how they're going to do the thing with their disability in mind. It'd be kind of like me telling you, Denise, how you're going to travel, because you're a wheelchair user. No, you kind of know, right?
Absolutely. For sure.
Yeah. So Emily, when's the last time you took a trip? Have you ever got out of central or south central Wisconsin ever in your life? Or
Oh Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, tell the story. What's the story? Share.
I think the furthest I've been is Italy and Greece. But
What? Denise,
but
did you know
but
this?
I did not know
Oh,
that.
wait, I thought we were friends with her, Denise. It's like we're meeting a new person. Hey, welcome, the guest of our show, Emily Gollmer, apparently a world traveler. All
World
right. Nice to
traveler.
meet you,
well,
Emily.
that's I went. It was like I was still in high school, so this was like many moons ago. Um, but I've also been to uh, a number of states around the U.S. too.
Well, name some of them. Let's hear some of these places. Have been to Illinois?
Yes. Oh God.
Oh, what
Yes.
does Illinois have that it was worth going to Illinois?
My grandparents used to live there when they were still alive.
Yeah. Ooh, way to go, Illinois, to have Emily Gollmer's grandparents.
And then,
Whoa.
and then my aunt and uncle still live down there. So,
Hey, auntie and uncle, say hi to your aunt and uncle for us from Illinois. Get them this video so that they can watch and get it right from this. Oh, Nay. So what other name some others? Give us some memories. Come on, let's go down memory lane. Where have you been?
Minnesota, which I have family in Minnesota.
All right.
North Dakota, which I used to have family in North Dakota.
Yeah.
Well, which no, I still have family members in North Dakota.
Yeah, don't forget about that.
Used to have a few more, but now it's just down to one.
Don't forget about anybody, Emily. Family doesn't like that when you forget about it.
I've been to Michigan since my brother used to live in Michigan.
Yeah.
I've been through Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Maine, New York.
What? You came to New York? You didn't come visit me.
Yeah, what's
Oregon,
up with
Washington? Well, I had no clue who you were at the time, Denise. Oregon, Washington.
To put that together.
Where else have I been? Colorado.
Ooh, out by our friend Zach. All right.
Montana. Idaho.
Wow, Denise, are you hearing this? She has been.
I've been through some of these. I've just been through. I haven't actually lived.
I know. I'm a little jelly.
Yeah, right. I mean, sign me up for this program. Can your parents adopt me? Come on now. Gotta get adopted to your family so I can go places. What do you think, Denise? Should we do it as a package deal? You and I, two new members to the Gollmer family.
You got a new brother and sister.
There we go. There you go. This is going to be fun. Boy, right here live at World of Ability Podcast, the dawn of a new day, and the family keeps growing. The family, is that how we say it?
Yeah, Iowa's another one.
There was what?
Actually, Missouri is another one.
Missouri. So St. Louis, when you were in Missouri, you went through St. Louis by the arch and all that.
Mm-hmm.
They call it the arch or the arc. I think is it the arc in St. Louis, or is the arc only Noah's thing? Must be the arch. Huh?
No, I think it's. I think it depends on. I think it's pronounced both ways, but I don't know.
I don't know, Kurt.
Well, you meant. What's that? Go ahead, Denise.
I was gonna say that. I don't know, that it just seems like every time with things she's done naming places, she pulls another one out. I'm like, I think she's traveled all 50 states.
I have not.
Well, could be. We'll have to keep investigating. Hey, you mentioned Ohio. The thing I just. Ohio. Yeah. Well, the thing about Ohio is they talk about it as a place that's round on the outside and high in the middle. Ohio. But in any case, I just learned a half hour ago that can you believe this? It wasn't until, well, let me put it this way. Emily, in what year did Ohio become a state?
I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head.
Take a guess. Wild stat. Was it last year?
Oh God, no.
When was it? Take a wild guess. Just take a wild stab in history and just take a wild guess.
19. Well, I don't think it was 1900.
But earlier or later than 1900?
Later.
Later. Okay, Denise, when did Ohio become a state?
I want to say 18, 1802, 01.
Now this is gonna blow your mind. I don't know if we have to do a fact check on this, but some friends were just playing Hollywood Squares, and we kind of lost that game, but it just blew my mind that the friend that was running the game tried to tell us that Ohio became a state in, Emily's looking it up. Catch this. You got to do a fact check here, Emily. 1953.
What? No way.
Right?
No, 1800s for sure.
Well, I think what it for sure is we know that Ohio was considered part of the USA and all that, but apparently Ohio did not go through the official process to become a state like the other 49 states until 1953. I thought it was like Alaska or something like this.
Okay, so guys, this is what I first pulled up here. It says that Ohio legally became the 17th state in 1803.
Oh.
February 19th, legally February 19th, 1803. Which statehood is celebrated March 1st. March 1st, 1803 is when the Ohio legislature met for the first time. This was retroactively made the statehood date by a 1953 resolution of the United States Congress.
See? Isn't that interesting? The things you don't know about your country, eh?
Wow.
I totally missed that in my history class. So that may be like a black mark on Ohio or something. So they keep it hush hush and don't tell the rest of us. I don't know what that's all about, but that's pretty interesting history. And I just learned that, like I say, a little over a half hour ago. So, but I just kind of want to reset the stage here a little bit. I kind of want to build the framework for anybody out there that is catching the show for the very first time. Welcome to a change in your life. And we hope that you'll jump right in and subscribe on YouTube to the World of Ability Podcast Network. And this is something that unfolded from my experience in Milwaukee radio. Ability MKE Now, that still exists on riverwestradio.com on Wednesday evenings at 8:30 Eastern. And let's get that Milwaukee time, 7:30 Central Milwaukee time. We're on riverwestradio.com and also with our Ability MKE Now Facebook media, going out there on Facebook Live. My wife Sue is involved and so forth, but we started this like 5 years ago, 5 months past. And so just a ton of episodes there from the history. And so we came to the World of Ability podcast and growing to a World of Ability podcast network, collaborating with our podcast mogul, Marcus Hart. who is scheduled to join our network team, our World of Ability podcast network team, and we're going to be doing a training. So we're going to get the next phase of this evolving collaboration and all of the improvements and modifications and updates by Transforming Media Network, brought to us by Marcus Hart. And so that's going to be happening once we drop off live and shut off the recording. We're going to be giving Marcus, we're on Marcus's platform right now. So he'll be hosting us in a training. So exciting stuff coming up down the pike right here with this World of Ability podcast, or other 9 podcasts we just got with Yu-Jen Chang, who is going to be starting the Power Media podcast, starting this upcoming Friday, which would be referencing, what is it, the 19th? Or trying to think of the date. When I say the 19th, it doesn't sound right. That is
He's going to start the 21st.
21st. There we go. Yeah, we're meeting on the 18th about it. Yeah, for him, it was the 19th. We're going to meet about it to be ready for all of you on the 21st. And that showtime is 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern. And that's going to be provided through our podcasting ally, Prosperity Pathways. And so that's in concert with what we do with Onward and Upward and the Prosperity Pathways podcasts. So now Yu-Jen Chang is joining that cluster of podcasting, and we just keep on and growing. And let's not forget about the World of Women podcast, the WOW podcast on Tuesdays. That goes out at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. And so just on and on. But the World of Ability podcast is structured in a way that in a year of programming, we're touching on faith life, service life, lifelong learning, government, politics, agency work, and then the occupation, vocation, jobs, enterprise, and then all the fun things that we do in life: sports, hobbies, pastime, leisure activities, travel, like we're talking about today. And again, we start out the conversation through people with disabilities, people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, so people with physical disabilities, people with deafness, people with blindness, and then we start branching off into all of the demographics protected by the Americans with Disabilities Act, and then keep going with the standards set forth by web content accessibility guidelines, and on like that. You know, it gets us talking about accessible reserved parking spaces and universal design, global public inclusive infrastructure. So again, thank you for joining us as we unpack all of this stuff year in and year out in our weekly podcasting, produced every Saturday, 2 Central Time, 3 Eastern. So Denise, let's do a check-in with you. What is the year looking like with you at HMP? We're talking about Imagine, and you're all about redesign your life and live creatively. How are you dreaming up what's going to happen for 2022 for you?
Well, I do have a few things popping up. One of them is that I am actually trying to build on my podcast, Creative Conversations, hoping to bring it to Transforming Media. And yeah, so that's something I'm really looking forward to. I'm working on a few workshops and just really wanting to help people say, hey, I have this dream. Everyone's always shut me out, told me that I'm too old, it's too late, I'm too crazy. I want them to bring that crazy on in 2022 and make those dreams happen. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. And I actually had a question for you, Kurt. We're talking about, you know, all the aspects of life that we here at World of Ability want to touch on. And every time I hear the word universal design, it just triggers something in me, because I feel that it is such common sense. And the more we realize that, the more that we realize that, hey, at some point or another, we're all going to need some sort of accessibility, some sort of modification. So why not do it from the ground up? What do you think about that, guys? Like, isn't it just like common sense?
It definitely is. And in the work we collectively have all been doing, I met Anna Maria and Emily kind of on the coattails of kind of what we do with something called ARC 7. So this mantra that's available out there with ARC 7 is along the lines of what you're saying, to kind of relook at, the planet and local spaces, and, and people are looking at undeveloped areas, that we need to relook at how we use land spaces and even waterways and so forth. And so, yeah, there is a huge worldwide community that is looking at this, that our human history is not that great in terms of what we've been doing to use what the world provides. So you're right on target to what other people have brought to me. This came to me 6 years ago. I met a lady who is Teray Foster, and she's the founder of ARC 7, and she has a lot of other elements that she brings forth, other value sets that she has as well. But everything you're talking about is right in line with that philosophy. And it's it's arcology, so it's architecture, combined with the environment and so forth. So yeah, for sure, to look at that, we have been missing it, that we have people doing these building projects and providing us what we see in our cities, our rural areas, our suburban areas. And there's definitely just a portion of society that is designed for, as far as the functionality there. And then there's a lot being missed, even in terms of nature and the environment, and making it eco-friendly, and thinking of power saving, and the whole idea of going solar and stuff like that. So yeah, I think we have a long ways to go to evolve where we need to be, and how we create dwelling places and gathering spaces.
Absolutely. It's just, when I think of, for example, in my apartment, I have a roll-in shower. Funny though, I have a roll-in shower, but it's not really a roll-in shower, because there's still like a bit of a lift, right? So you still either have to tip the shower chair back to roll into it, because you just can't roll in. So technically, it's flatter than maybe your typical shower, but not really. So when I see this, and it goes right back to, when Ed is being certified as a, for cruising for inclusion, it's just ask the people who are going to utilize it. What is it that we need? What makes sense, right? Because it's almost like you look at it and you say to yourself, this obviously was a person that was walking and did a walk-in shower and not a roll-in shower. So yeah, just little things like that, that if you just did it from the beginning and really just talk to the people that need it, that are going to really utilize it. Does this make sense to you? Like, what would make it better? What would make it easier? What would make it more universal?
Absolutely. Yeah, the disability community also taught me about visitability. So a lot of times when people, and I've been there before, you know my story, Denise, about that I've gone through a transformative process and thought transformation. I've had to kind of get out of my old stinking thinking as well, which I say, still carries forward a little bit. There's like a desensitization process to erase kind of things that come from experiential activities of the past, and to reboot it into new thinking, the new paradigm. But this visitability is a powerful topic because when we're discussing something with a person with a physical disability or otherwise that would benefit from something at their house, then the question becomes, where is society at to make sure that when we're doing something like at my home, how visitable is my house? In a past conversation, Denise, you asked me, if somebody shows up, to my house in a power wheelchair, are people, who are wheelchair users showing up at my house, are they able to get into where I'm sitting? And it's a great question, because to the point, this house was designed in the 60s and finished for living in 1970. And so, right off, to my right arm here is the entry door, and there's a stoop there. There's a couple steps to negotiate, so then what do we do to create accessibility for somebody to come through there? But then also through our garage, you come in through the garage, and then you're negotiating, a step, and then a step from the step. And so you and I talked about this, that we came up with materials that we could lay down to fill the space, that when you create a ramp with the step, then you have the gaps there where the steps are, and we have materials that can fill that sturdily to carry a lot of weight. And then you got the plywood on top of it. And so between all that, we can just use what we have here at the house to make it work, that we have a sturdy, safe, ramp. But we don't have anything specifically uniquely designed to be that ramp entry to our house. It's most of the time, like if somebody here would be a wheelchair user, obviously it would be an everyday thing to have that ramp in. But we don't have that. So that visitability idea is kind of key, because we kind of need to think about that as we're building all these new homes. People are trying to think in terms of cutting costs, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, it actually is not very proficient to go ahead and build all these structures for 75% of the marketplace, and then have all of this cost to then rehab it into something that works for the other 25%. It doesn't much make sense, right?
Yeah. And speaking of cost, and I'm kind of veering off into something a little different here, but not so much different. So let's say that you were gonna have some people over who are wheelchair users, and you wanted to have something so that they feel more at ease going up, right? Would you not want to rent a ramp if it was affordable?
And it all depends on who you are. I mean, actually, for me, no, because we're in a situation that we're living beyond our means right now already at the get-go.
Ah,
So the
but that's
idea
my
is
point.
kind of going with what we've got and saying, okay, we got to have a ramp, and just doing our own makeshift ramp is the way to go, because it doesn't cost us a penny to use
Right,
what we got here and do our makeshift ramp.
absolutely. But let's say that Because the whole key here is that I just feel that it seems like everything that is for someone who has a disability is so outrageously expensive. Like motorized chairs. Do you know that my wheelchair cost $22,000? And that was almost 6 years ago. How much is it now? Right? With everything going up in price. And it's not like, I mean, my chair elevates and reclines. But it's not like, I mean, can't go as far as a car, right? And the car seat reclines, and many car seats elevate slightly now, right? To adjust for the driver's height. So here you have a $22,000 wheelchair that can only go but maybe a little bit on a full charge compared to a car that can go, cross country, just filling it up a few times, right? It's just, it boggles me that even a cushion can cost you $800 for a seat cushion. That, to be honest, I mean, let's get real, my butt still hurts, right? Because it's not the most comfortable cushion anyway. You would think that an $800 cushion would just be making me feel all nice and fluffy, but no. So it's just, it would just be, I think it would just make the world easier for people like yourself who want to make their home accessible, for their friends, or just, maybe I'm going to be spending vacation, right? We're talking about traveling. Maybe I want to go on vacation and the bed and breakfast that I want to stay at is not really accessible. But, if they knew that they were having a wheelchair user, maybe the person might say, oh, you know what? Yeah, you can stay. We'll rent a ramp for, the week that you'll be here. Right? Like there's just so many other things that people would more likely do if things were affordable. But no one's going to want to spend tens of thousands of dollars for something that they don't need themselves.
Yeah, so there's a couple things with that. I mean, for me, the issue that I take is that, like you say, with the high price tags, saying, okay, they're a medical device and whatever, I do recognize, how the monies that price represents, are useful. Like say, for example, you talked about the wheelchair company. The part that I like about the money that they're getting is that they're able to support, expos and magazines and different things through advertising that, what they've got, and they've got the budget to be effective in reaching people at home that could use their product, and to also just more generally support events and nonprofits that are doing great work for everybody through the guise of people with disabilities. So the issue is in the economics of that. The problem is that we don't have enough of connecting monetary resources to make those ginormous prices you're talking about achievable for an individual. So if I were to talk about ideals, and if the world gave me two options, said, Kurt, which way should we go? Should we lower the price to 10% of what it is? Or should we keep the prices and then just, increase the availability of money for individuals to 10 times what it is? I would say, let's put 10 times the amount of money out there for the individuals than what we presently are. And let's make it really easily achievable, because we're subsidizing basically, the cost of these things. So for the individual, bringing it down to something way more achievable but for the company, still giving them the resources to keep doing the great work that they're doing, evolving the industry and coming up with new technologies and making the robotics and the hydraulics and the electrical components and the comfortability and, and then safety and the navigation and, all of these things. Because I'm looking at when we talk about how the world has evolved for the sake of 5.8 billion people of the 7.8, leaving 2 billion people in the lurches of the world does not work is fantastically for them. But it kind of gets lost in the shuffle because we have a falsely claimed mainstream. So people have this image that the world is so fantastic, so fun and fantastic and amazing, and the glitz and the glamour and the fame and, the Hollywood life and all this stuff. So there's all these distractions. There's all these shiny objects that people are just like, wow, like a New Year's Day, to just look, everything just seems so abundant. And then we kind of lose sight that there's people at home or people without a home that are living in a scarcity that is hidden. And that's where you start to get these references to decades ago. When you look at the 1940s, 1950s, and, warehousing humans, into getting them out of the society. It's bad for industry. It's bad for business. It's bad for politics, to show these people. So we just put them in institutions and we just kept them out of sight from the rest of the population. And we're still healing from that. If you look at that was, 70 years ago, 60 years ago. I'm 50 years old. I was born in 1971. And I think of at the moment of my birth, 1971, what was going on in the world, and how was inclusion, accessibility, and accommodation at the beginning of my life? It wasn't that fantastic. And it's still not that fantastic.
Exactly. And when I was diagnosed, I was born in 1968. When I was diagnosed with my disability, I was already 5 years old. So now we're in the 70s, and they still told my mom that they should put me in a home. So it like you said, it's not that long ago that we would just, and in some places, people are still recommending that their disabled child go into a home.
Yes. So again, when I tell my story, being a person where the world works for me in a way that in what I need to do day by day, I don't need to say, hey, agency, I can't do this, that, the world doesn't work for me because it's too fast paced or something, whatever it may be, that if you throw me in a certain situation, I could kind of suffer too, but I have just alternatives that I can kind of make choices and whatever. And then there's just, for kind of what my life is and what I've got going on, the world is just developed with a bias to be good for me, is kind of the way I look at it. One group told me, think about this. Think about if the world was dominated by wheelchair users, how high would the ceilings be? And I'm like, that really gets you thinking that if we put the power in the hands of a different group of people, like say if the world was built and if the leaders of the world were those with neurodiversity and, needing like sensory rooms and so forth, there wouldn't be a building on earth that was built for crowds. Everything would be small gatherings and low sensory activation, more like sensory rooms to avoid overstimulation.
Absolutely. But you hit on a key point there where you talked about, sometimes rather than complaining to an agency or an organization that this just doesn't work for me or my kind, for example, I really think that it's about exactly what we're doing here today, is bringing awareness to the masses, whether you have a disability or not. The more allies that we have, the more people that we have to, share our fight with and just be our voices for what, so that when we can't be there physically, the person with the disability, we have people like you who doesn't have a disability, who's there fighting for us, who's there telling people, hey, I have a friend, she's in a motorized chair, there's no way she's going to be able to do this. I've got 10 friends who are wheelchair users. I've got 30 friends. Like, let's build that awareness.
Absolutely. And I'm putting like all my cards on the table and I'm going all out. I'm going for broke. And I am broke, whatever. I mean, when you're not paid for 13 years in what you do, it definitely has an economic consequence. But, to me, I still look at that there's tremendous opportunity, this investment, because I'm looking at it's 75% of the population, which kind of comes from as the world is organized, around people in some senses more similar to me. And that's why at the Happy Neighborhood Project, again, the story is that in March of 2021, I appealed to Edwin to create HMP ability, because I knew through creating the Inclusion of Water Skiing campaign, I took the sport of water skiing from out of Wisconsin, which you could really look at the recent history of the sport of water skiing, which we're celebrating 100 years of water skiing. And you look at who are the people enjoying water skiing and how it's such a tight-knit demographic. Like, you talk about an exclusive opportunity, it's very excluding when you look at, the narrow description to individuals that are captivating the whole sport of water skiing around the world. Like, when you look at water ski tournaments and you look at who is showing up for these tournaments and who does that represent, like, probably one of the things on earth that you can do that lacks diversity in a big bad way. So I found it to be a great opportunity for the sport, and many of my friends in water skiing agree that by really pumping adaptive water skiing and inclusion of water skiing, it not only helps us attract people with disabilities to the sport, but it really creates that disruption to the sport of water skiing, that it becomes more balanced in diversity on many other fronts. Because in the disability community, like in advocacy, the leadership groups talk about intersectionality. So when you talk about being in the LGBTQ plus community, and then you have a disability, and, or if you're a woman, in the LGBTQ community and you have a disability. And then if you're a woman of color in the LGBT community and you have a disability, and you just start to understand that there are people in this nation of the United States of America that when you start to look at the different characteristics they have in their life, the cards just get seriously stacked against them, the way that this country works. And I'm sure there's some parallels to talk about with other countries, but I don't claim to be very up to speed on these issues in any other nation. I found that in the last 10 years, I've had plenty to learn right here in America. So speaking of other countries, we have a Zoom bomber from Mexico. So Marianne, you are muted, and give us a tour. We were talking about traveling, and a half hour ago we were talking about traveling, and there you are traveling. What's going
here
on?
I am traveling with an amputee Equus horse here down in Ensenada, Mexico. We worked on the boat a little bit this morning. The winds picked up, a little drizzle, and we came down to here to our neighbor in the marina, owns a bar restaurant called Tequila's, ordering some enchiladas, gonna watch the game. We've been working hard on the boat. Captain had to order a new part, should arrive on Wednesday. we have to make arrangements with another sailor to pick it up in San Diego. So we're taking a siesta this afternoon, and I have an amputee horse that's part of this tequila bar restaurant with Louie. And yesterday I had another photo bomber with my one-on-one with Captain Joe was Louie's daughter. Her name is Marilyn, and she's about 5 years old. So she was playing with Dr. Fingers, the finger spelling hermit crab, while Captain Joe and I were talking about our Google reviews for 2022 in the Acts of Kindness series. So grateful to be here. Gracias to you, Kurt and Emily, for all your outstanding work. Emily, you're out of this world. And there he is, Dr. Fingers. Yes. So I started yesterday, Kurt, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't end till like 3. And I got up this morning and again with Carol Williams, following up with a nutritionist. I read his book this morning, Gary Brisker. I just thought, yeah, amazing stuff in his book. I need to know. And yeah, I'm gonna take a break this afternoon. But I'm real excited to work this next week with the HMP group because I know we're going to be setting sail actually 2 weeks from today. We are exiting the marina for sure. If we get a window period, after we get the part installed and open windows, then we're heading to go. But this morning, this gal, because I'm the weather gal on the sailboat for the captain, there was a volcano eruption that affected the West Coast for tsunami warnings. So we're trying to be in contact with our Hawaiian Island boater friends over there too. So I'm not sure what happened worldwide, but we're just taking precautions and we're safe. And grateful to be here. So World of Ability. And I met so many people in the last 2 days in H&P and worldwide. So you should have some people calling you to be on your show. And another friend too, I emailed you, Tara Elder. Tara Elder would like to join. So I've sent you some emails and I need your help with internet to get in contact with these people since I will be setting sail and we've been having internet problems. So back to you, Kurt. Aloha. I'm Mariana Waikiki, Mariana, Mexico. And the Equus horse that's missing, that's an amputee, but you know what? It's World of Ability. You know what? He's going to get me around. That's right. And guess what? Pono, the Hawaiian polo pony, is just the same way too. So yes, our service horse here in Ensenada, Mexico. Gracias, Louis. Come down and have some tacos, some enchiladas. We're watching football. And aloha.
Aloha. Thank
Aloha.
Oh, one other shout out, Denise. That was so much fun on Pata Pata last night. I worked so hard yesterday and I was laying down listening to it. And I love that Roy Orbison, Pretty Woman. Man, that jam session rocked. I was telling the captain. So, all right, aloha.
Aloha.
All right. So we have 4 minutes to wrap up this show. Emily, are you out there to lead us through the conclusion of this, the World of Ability podcast? Emily, are you out there?
Yep.
Apparently not. Oh, there
Yes,
she
I
is.
am.
All right. So let's coordinate this thing. We got a few minutes to wrap it up and get on out of here. So where are you at for bringing us to our end?
Well, I thought it was a great conversation today. And thank you for Denise for coming on, as always, and being a co-moderator. And again, thank you to Marcus on Transforming Media. We're here every Saturday at 2 p.m. Central. I encourage everybody to tune back in next week or any of the following weeks, and to visit our social media and post, share, and so on. I guess over to you, Kurt. Mr.
All
Esco.
right, thank you very much. Let's bring in Denise a little bit. Denise, we got a couple minutes left of the show. What do you have to offer as final thoughts?
Well, you know what? I just want everyone to think about their 2022, what they want to do, and just redesign your life with clarity, confidence, and creativity.
There you go. So I'm here taking the show on the road. Basically, we have our daughter Alana is finishing up some time with a friend, and so we gotta go get her. And then we've got a party going on with our local Optimist Club, Club of Optimists International, optimist.org. So things happening. We hope everybody out there is enjoying what they're doing for their day, their weekend, or on a restream on a weekday. And with that, we're going to cruise on out of here. So again, I'm Kurt Roskopf. Great to be here, partnered up with Denise and Emily as a hosting team here with the World Ability Podcast, one of our podcasts of the World Ability Podcast Network. And again, made possible by Transforming Media Network. See you next time. Thanks for being here.